Hello everybody, it is February 8th, 2018, 6:57 a.m. And before we are even done with Winter Storm Liam, we already have Winter Storm Mateo moving in from the northwest. They are talking about Chicago particularly getting, let's see, hit with this with another 5 to 8 inches of snow. Now, I don't have complete totals yet. I haven't had time to do a ton of research on what this has produced already, but basically what this storm is going to do is it's going to kind of beeline, straight line from where you see in that satellite image. It's going to move its way all the way across right over the Great Lakes. So once it gets to the Great Lakes, those are when the areas to the east of all the lakes need to be on watch. I don't have much information as far as accumulations, but one thing I do know is that Erie has had 152 inches of snow this year, and that is the most ever. And we still have 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, or 3 weeks minus 1 day left in February. And we all know that March storms are very possible, so I think that record's going to be shattered. I think other records will be broken for snowfall. I ended up getting about 6 to 8 inches where I live, right around this area here, northeast Pennsylvania. There were areas in New York that got well over a foot, like we talked about. And Liam is still, as we're speaking right now, still affecting some of the coastal states right now. And all they're talking about on the Weather Channel is Mateo, which is right here, coming right in from the northwest here. Now, I pulled up another chart. I hope I did. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this one kind of shows it here. Now, this is more of like a look at, we can get a little bit of a northern look here, and you can kind of see how our jet stream is just a piece of a big circle that happens. And what's going on here is, if you notice when I'm moving around, it's moving counterclockwise, and then there's like some sort of high pressure or a force here that keeps bowing it in, and just as it hits the US, it almost wants to recorrect itself, and that's why we're getting these crazy dips that are getting so low into the US. And so any moisture systems that touch these areas become snow and ice, and that was a huge issue yesterday. I remember listening on my radio while I was at work about all the car accidents going on. It was just like an unbelievable number. They ran out of crew. They were running out of like ambulance and people that can actually stand in the road and say stop and go. It like got to that point. It was so bad. So, but once again, guys, we have another winter storm on its way. It should be in Chicago by the end of today. I believe right now Detroit, Michigan will be affected certainly. Chicago, actually possibly areas of Chicago will get 10 inches from this. The reason I have this chart up is because I want you to notice that we are already beginning to see the warm water fill up in, one more chart, there we go. If you can match these colors to here Celsius, we're about at 80 degrees just south of Cuba and Jamaica, and that is bleeding into the Gulf. So the reason I say that is because once these temperatures are constant for that, we could easily be seeing tropical systems forming down here while we're dealing with snowstorms in the north. I mean, how crazy would that be? And really quick, this is a lot of information, I know. I hope you guys had your coffee. Taiwan, again, with another earthquake swarm right around that underwater volcano. So there are channels that specifically focus on earthquakes that are now talking about this on a daily basis. And if you guys remember, it was Super Bowl Sunday that I pointed out that first swarm they had there. And I'm not sure. I don't know if it's the volcano causing it or if this is plate movement. But one way or another, if I was 11 miles from a volcano, whether it's underwater or above water, I would want to be concerned. I'd want to know about it. So until this stops, I will be reporting on these earthquakes. That's the warm water. And also, if you notice this band here on Ventu Sky, you're going to start to see this begin to come this way. And that is what ends up being our path for hurricane season. Now, as we get closer to March, you're going to start seeing this move a little bit to the north. And that's also why I incorporated this picture here to show you that the water is warming. The water by South Africa here is close to 90 degrees right now, so it's pushing, and you can see the winds move the surface of the water, and the surface of the water is the most important for tropical depression formation, tropical storm, and then hurricane formation. It doesn't have to be deep warm water, just on the surface temperature, and it's continuing to bleed into the Gulf. And also, this is why we are seeing these systems, these storm systems forming in the Gulf and then being pulled up north and then acting as a fuel for these winter storms that are passing by. Sorry about the flashing screen. It does that as a refresh rate. I'm very sorry about that. But anyway, you can see there's moisture being pulled from the Gulf up to the East Coast. And sometimes as these systems meet up with it over the Great Lakes, that's when we get those very big snowfalls. So, like I said, Northeast Pennsylvania got a lot of snow yesterday. That's all I was doing yesterday, was shoveling and helping the guy I work with plow. New York State, snow everywhere. Basically every county in New York had snowfall, and it came and went pretty quickly. So now what happened was it began to rain a lot, at least in my area, and now outside all the rain is frozen, so we are dealing with a major ice issue, at least around the 500-foot elevations and up. Major ice issues. As I said, the accident reports were off the hook yesterday. And if you notice this band here too, this is actually going to aid in Mateo staying on a straight line right across. So we will get lake effect snow from this. So anybody in Michigan to the east, especially right along the coast of the lake, and then also all over the northwest parts of Pennsylvania and the west sides of New York, you will be getting snowfall from this system as well. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there. It's a little hard to tell, but again, on this chart you can also see that vortice going on. It's like a counterclockwise spin, which is part of our jet stream. So our jet stream is one big giant circle that we get a piece of, but there's something that is affecting it in this area. You can even see it outlined here, and as you move forward you can see how it almost bows it inside, and then as it gets to the northwest of the US it wants to correct itself. It wants to straighten back out, and as it does so we get these weird dips here, and that's why we've been having these like storm after storm after storm, or these would just be moisture systems. Now it is a little bit of help from the south. We are getting Gulf moisture being pushed up from the Caribbean, which also has to do with the changing of basically the timing of February into March and then into April. You'll notice more of it. But that is actually helping some of these southern states stay out of this snow type stuff. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. So you got to take it for what it's worth. But nonetheless, guys, look at these temperatures we have here. So any moisture that touches these areas while we're dealing with Mateo will see snow. And then some of the areas are even in some of this dark blue color, -16, which is close to about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a Celsius reading, so the conversion would be about 0 to 4, I want to say, give or take. Now, let's check out our models really quick before I let you go. And this is what we're going to be expecting with Mateo, which is right on the heels of Liam. And in another video I was wondering if Liam and Mateo would actually be in the same time frame, and they couldn't be any closer unless they were they became one storm. So here's the first frame. You can see Liam leaving the northeast here, and then as we move forward, each click is 6 hours, so you can picture it. We're in the 8th. This would be midnight on the 9th. This would be 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., midnight on the 10th, and by the midnight on the 10th, we are going to be dealing with that lake effect snow, and it looks to be moving pretty quickly. 1, 2, 3, so about 12 hours, but it seems that strip there stays put. And what that is what we just talked about. That is the moisture coming up from the Gulf, which is fueling these storms. If there was none of these systems moving up from the Gulf, we would only be dealing with what started here in the northwest, and it would move across and it would do its thing and be gone. But because it has this source of fuel from the south, because of the changing into February into March, when we start to see this uplift of warm air into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's also the reason why we're getting these high rain rates. Another situation where we could see 4 to 6 inches of rain in the northern Alabama, Mississippi areas. And then, of course, our higher view, we have, this is Liam that had just passed by, and then you can barely even see Mateo come into the picture here. But what happens is once it gets to this area here is when it becomes an issue. Like I said, Chicago. And then right over New York and the rest of our northern states. And then as we move forward, we are going to have yet another system move through, but it looks like it's coming more from the north over the Great Lakes, being more of just a northeast system. So that's what we have for now, guys. I'm sorry I made this so quick. You all know the deal. I have to get to work, try to get a video out every morning, and if I can't, then I bring it out in the afternoon. These are the current wind chill temperatures, and look at this. What do you say? 0, 5, 11, 4, 2. Those are numbers I'm just tired of seeing. I don't know about you. But that's it for now, guys. And yes, I got a lot of phone calls yesterday about the earthquake in New York. It was felt by thousands of people. It was 6 kilometers deep. It was in Mohegan Lake, and it was the talk of the town. They actually almost forgot there was snow going on because of this earthquake. I actually talked to a friend who said it woke him up out of his sleep. So I guess 2.2s can do some shaking if they're shallow enough. And that's it for today, guys. I will have an update later on this afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you all so much for your patience. Talk to you. Bye-bye.